Okay, time to start a new mini-series. So as you guys may or may not know, I haven't been doing much WordPress development lately, for about 2 years now, so my company just didn't have much need for it. Now this year we got a lot of requests to do WordPress projects, so I was tasked with finding the right tools for the job. Because to be honest with you, vanilla WordPress development kind of sucks and feels outdated in 2019. And that has something to do with WordPress being strongly backwards compatible, so not much has changed in the form of development standpoint. And looks especially weird if you're coming from something like Laravel, Vue, and October CMS. So luckily, people in the community realize that and are trying to make that development feel more like 2019 and less like 2009. One of the biggest players in that space is this company right here called Roots, and they have 3 great projects. One is called Sage, Bedrock, and Trellis. So we decided on that and are currently using Bedrock plus Sage stack for our development needs. So for the Bedrock part, the Bedrock will make your WP structure a bit different. It will make WordPress much more easier to manage through Git via Composer. It will add .env files to your project, so that will make it easier to manage your development, staging and production environments, and also improve the security of your site. So if you want to know more about Bedrock, I can maybe make one episode about it, because there's not much to talk about it. I will just show you how to install it and so on. Now Bedrock is great and all, but I think the real power, at least from theme development standpoint, comes from Sage Starter theme, which is this right here. And that is what we will be covering in this mini-series. Just to be clear, I'm in no way, shape or form an expert in developing themes with Sage, but I just want to share some of the very cool things I learned about Sage in a few weeks that I have been using it. And I gotta tell you, this is an almost perfect setup that I wish I had when I was doing WordPress on a regular basis. Okay, so enough for the intro. Let's install Sage and do a quick overview of it in this episode. And then in the next few episodes, I will show you some awesome stuff you can do with it and how it can make your life easier as a theme developer. Okay, so what are the selling points of Sage? Now it says it's a WordPress starter theme with a modern development workflow, so that is true. One of the selling points is it uses Webpack, which actually for me it's not that great. And I will explain why a bit later in this episode. It comes with Bootstrap 4 Foundation more, so you will see when we install it, you get a choice of your favorite frameworks that you can easily implement in your development workflow. It has dry templates with Blade, so you are not using those PHP tags, but you're using Blade for your templating engine, and that is a great thing. WordPress really needed that. So, of course, what you would start with, I hope you're always starting with that when you're learning something more, that is reading the documentation. And now we will take about 50 minutes to read all of the documentation, right? Wrong, of course, we are not going to be doing that, but we are just going to, first of all, install the theme. As you can see, actually, it has some requirements. So first of all, you have to have WordPress at least 4.7. I have 5.0.3, I think. You have to have at least on your development environment PHP 7.1.3. You have to have Composer installed, Node.js, and Yarn. You don't really have to have Yarn installed. If you have Node installed, you have npm, so we will be actually using that and not Yarn. So to install Sage, you would just do this, right? So let's go to our console, and right now I'm in Sage, so this is the name of my project, WP content themes, and in themes you would just do this. Nope, this. So I didn't copy this right. Okay, copy, pasted it. Okay, and your theme name is just going to be Sage. Now, as you can see, once the composer finishes, the Sage installation process will ask you some questions. So first of all, the theme name, I'm just going to leave it to be Sage Starter Theme, theme URI, okay, theme description, okay, version is 9.0.9 at this point, theme author is going to be roots, author URI roots IO, a local development URL for your WP site. So for me, it's going to be http sage.localhost. So I already have WordPress installed. You can use MAMP, XAMPP, WAMP, whatever. I'm using Laravel Valet. I have a few episodes about that on my channel, so you can check that out if you want. Path to the theme directory. As you can see, the default is app theme Sage. So this is when you are using Bedrock, then you would have this path to your theme. But since we are using vanilla WordPress installation in this episode, we are just going to do WP content themes Sage, like this right here. And now it asks you which framework would you like to load. So the default is Bootstrap, but you can choose between Bootstrap, Bulma, Foundation, Tachyons, and Tailwind. So we are usually using Foundation in the company I work for, so I'm just going to choose Foundation. You can also choose none, right? If you don't like using front-end frameworks. And now, are you sure you want to override the following files? So we are going to say yes, and I will show you what that does in a second. And do you want to send anonymous usage data? I will just say no, and the no is default. Now our roots theme is kind of installed, but not really. Because as you can see right here, you need to go to your theme and then run yarn if you are using yarn. But if you are not using yarn, you just do cd into Sage and do npm install. Okay, so now that this is done, you can just do something like npm run start. Sage comes with Webpack, browser sync, and all that good stuff. So this will make your development server. It will open it up in the browser, and you can start developing your theme from there. So you don't have to do any of that setup by hand, right? So as you can see, it started. Right now, I'm not using Sage as my theme, but it's loading 2019 theme that comes with WordPress. So I'm just going to go right here to Sage to manage themes in my dashboard and choose Sage. Right, so I got Sage starter theme. I will just activate it, and that's it. One thing I like about Sage, as you will see, it is so minimal. So it doesn't add any unnecessary CSS to your page and nothing of that sort. So as you can see, you just get latest posts, hello world, and you can start your theme development from there. So now let's take a look how the Sage theme would look in our code editor. Now, right off the bat, you can see that Sage starter theme is much different than vanilla themes you would get from your WordPress repositories, right? So it has this app folder, config folder, dist folder. You have node modules for handling your node dependencies. You have vendor directory for handling your composer dependencies. You also get this ESLint RCJS file for linting your JavaScript, and also stylelint for linting your CSS. You have composer JSON files and so on, right? So as you can see, this is much different. So first of all, there is this app directory, which has something in it called controllers. And I can't wait to show controllers to you guys, because I think this is the real power of Sage. It's really great, as you will see. Then you have something like called admin, filters, helpers, setup, and so on. So this, you can consider this as functions.php file, just separated into 4 different files. The most interesting file right here for you will probably be this setup.php. In that file, you would set up your CSS, your JS, you would add support for navigation, you would add support for post thumbnails and so on. So check that out and of course read the documentation. Then you have this config directory right here, which to be honest with you, I don't know what that is used for. I haven't played with that. As I said, I've been using Sage for only a few weeks, but I didn't need to touch those files. So I probably think it has something to do with the configuration. Then you have this folder, which will fill up once you run npm run build or npm run build production if you want to push your site to the production server. As I said, node modules, right? So most of your time will be spent in this resources directory. So you can see right here that Sage is taking out a lot of things from systems like Laravel. Alright, you have this resources, and in resources you have views and you have assets. So views are actually your template files. So as you can see, you have index, page, search, everything you would get with a normal WordPress theme, except they have the extension of blade.php, because of course Sage is using Blade. So if you take a look at that page, you can see how that looks. So there is no PHP tags right here, but I just gotta say, if you really need PHP for something, you can just do PHP and do whatever you want. I don't think you can do something like that in Twig or other templating languages. As you can see, we have these includes, you have while loops and so on. One thing I don't like about Sage is that everything is formatted to use 2 spaces, but you can always change that to be 4 spaces or when 1 tab. You have your partials folder, so these are your partials, and I will talk a bit more about that in the next episodes. And you have these layouts, so this is the default layout for your project. As you can see, this extends layouts.app. I would also suggest, if you want to use Sage, to check out the Laravel Blade documentation, because most of the stuff that you will find there are applicable to the Sage theme. So this is just the way that Blade works. So it's going to extend the layouts app, and as you can see right here, so this is our layouts. It has this command called yield content, and this is where your actual pages are going to render. So this is where index.php is going to render, page.php and so on. Actually page blade.php and so on. So this is the views folder, so there are your template files. Then you have this assets folder with most interesting here is going to be of course scripts and styles. So this is where you would put your CSS, and this is where you would put your JavaScript. Of course you have images, fonts and build folder, which you don't touch because something is going to be building in there. Now for the scripts, you get this main.js file, and as you can see there, they have something called routes right here. So I think we can check that out in their documentation. If we go right here to theme development and building, and I think it's something somewhere around here. Okay, so JavaScript DOM-based routing. I didn't use this because I'm not using jQuery. We are not using jQuery in our company, so I can't tell you much about it. But what it says right here is that Sage provides DOM-based routing for your JavaScript, enabling you to run specific scripts on specific pages, right? So this is great. So routes and scripts, they include run when the route name matches a class on the body element of the current page. Anyway, if you want to use this, please use it, but just read the documentation first. Okay, so this is scripts. What I would do right here, because I'm not using jQuery or those routes or anything, I would just delete all of it, and I would start my JavaScript development for that theme using something. You may have seen the video on my page called Organizing JavaScript. So I'll just put a link to it. So this is how I use JavaScript in Sage. You can use it that way, or you can use it the Sage way. Next we have styles, and in styles we have main.scss file, which is importing common global components, layouts, and so on. And I think that's about it for the structure of our theme. Now I just want to talk a little bit about CSS and Webpack and what I don't like about it. First of all, let's just try to open up a global SCSS file. So global SCSS, I will make this bigger, and now look what happens if I do this. So I do something like body, background is going to be black. Save this. Now if we check out our console, you can see that this is compiling but failed to compile with 1 error. And also if you check out your browser, you will see that you get an error right here. So what is this? It says that it expects indentation of 2 spaces. So as I said before, I really don't like that because I use 4 spaces or 1 tab. So to get around this, this is happening because of this style lint rc.js file. So as you can see, there are a lot of things right here. So this is going to lint your CSS. So to very easily get around that, you would just delete everything in rules right here. And just make it be empty object and don't extend this. Of course, you can add your own rules if you're using style.int, but for now I'm just going to delete it altogether. The same thing is true for JavaScript. So you have this slint.rc file, and you can configure your linter right here, or you can just delete it, whatever. So let's just see if this works. Okay, so we need to save this. So let's put this to be FFF. Save it, and now it's compiling again, and it's done successfully. Now the problem is it's done successfully in almost 4 seconds. So this is really slow, and this is because I will show you in just a minute. But let's just check out our page. So as you can see, now we have white background, and if I go right here and do 000, it will have a black background eventually, right? So it compiled. Let me see what time it took now. Now it took almost 4.5 seconds, almost. Okay, so this is slow. Now this is slow because of Webpack. So this is one thing that I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I don't like about it, because it seems to me that Sage is getting on that Webpack all things wagon. And what people don't understand or don't want to understand, I had these discussions many times, Webpack is just not good for compiling your CSS, right? So it's much better to use something like Gulp and then add Webpack to it to compile your JavaScript, which Webpack is great at, but compiling CSS is very slow with Webpack. I didn't have the chance to play around with it and to see if I can make my own build system, because right now I don't have the time, so I'm just using this right now. But I got it to go a little bit faster. So what you can do, first of all, if you're using Foundation like me, you can go to foundation.scss file, and as you can see, Foundation everything. So it's including Foundation with everything in it. What I do right here is I just use not all of the Foundation, but just some stuff from it, right? So you can do something like that. check out the foundation documentation to see how you can configure your foundation. And I think most of the other CSS frameworks has the same kind of setup like this, where you can pick and choose components that you actually want to use. So let's save this and see if we get it a bit faster. So FFF, save it, and check out our console. So okay, so the module build failed because of this extend that button. So this is one more thing I wanted to show you. If you do something like, let's do a search for extend, and to file mask is going to be just SCSS files. So as you can see, you got all of these extends in your files, like header, WP classes, SCSS, forms, and comments. Now these are extending foundations components. As you can see right here, in WP classes, it's extending show on focus. This is extending the button. This is extending no bullet, secondary, and so on, right? So what you need to do right here is actually just delete those extends. And if you want to use them, you can just go to the foundation, which is in your node modules folder, and just copy that CSS that it's using instead of extended it, right? Then it's the compilation is going to go much faster. So what I would do, I would just go to some of those files and just delete those extends, right? For now. As I said, you can just copy that CSS right here instead of extending it. And now I will, behind the scenes, just delete all of the extends, and then we will see if our compilation time gets any smaller. Okay, so I deleted all of those, and if you check it right here, as you can see now, my compilation time is 1 second and 857 milliseconds. Let's just try to change this to black again. 000, go to our browser, and now it's compiling a bit faster, around 2 seconds. Well, this is still not ideal, but it's the fastest I could get it going. Unfortunately, as I said, because it's using Webpack to compile your CSS. Webpack is great for compiling CSS if you are writing it in JavaScript, but since we are not doing that right here, you will have to either deal with this or just configure your own build system using something like Gulp, which will compile your CSS much faster. Okay, so I would stop this video right here. It's gotten pretty long, over 20 minutes, but that's the introduction for you. There will be no code for this video because we actually didn't do any coding, but for the next video I will create a GitHub repository for it, and then you can download the code that we are using there. So in the next videos we will go through Blade, we will go through includes, components, we will go through controllers, and so on. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.